Magic from Pax8 Beyond this time again, Uh, lots of interesting sessions, lots of interesting people to meet. And one of the people that I've met, and I really like Michael because we've already met in Denver once. Michael is in charge of the Pax8 Academy, extremely important source of information and learning for a lot of partners. Michael.
Yes, so my name is Michael Ćaćić-Escalera, and I do serve as the director of Pax8 Academy EMEA. And what that means is I'm responsible for a team that is enabling the partners to help them grow, to help them reduce their risk, to help them manage their business better. And so it's a fantastic job that I have because it's exciting. We get to see partners of all different sizes, of all different maturity levels, and to be able to guide them through what makes a good business. So it's exciting.
So Michael is one of my favorite guys for a couple of reasons. First of all, he runs the Pax8 Academy, which is fantastic. But he also lives in Munich, and it's my second home. So, Michael, thanks for living in Munich.
Absolutely. It's such a beautiful part of Germany. We love it there, very much into the tradition. So we just had Oktoberfest wearing our tracht. So yeah, it's a great place to live.
Pax8 is almost equally as good as October. And for those who know me, I don't throw those kind of a comparisons lightly. It's a great show, great event, and I'd really congratulate you on everything that has been built today and showed today and announced today, especially continuation of a discussion about the transformation from MSP to MIP.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of change. We know that we're in the fastest changing industry in the world, and we can't stay still. That's the thing with us as business leaders in IT. There's so much that's coming down the line. There's so many new things, and it's our job as leaders to make sure that we're on top of those things. And we have resources to help the partners because change can be scary. There's so much to do. There's so much to be able to help our team members to be able to navigate that change. And so the nice thing is we do have resources about building a good MSP, about building a good MIP, and what does that look like. And so we have multiple options. We love to say that we meet the partners where they're at, which means that we provide something for every business. And you're right, change is definitely coming, and there's going to be a constant evolution that's present inside this industry going forward.
And Pax8 has created this really interesting concept of a guided growth supported by AI and supported by content and a refreshed content. So a lot of kind of a good new information.
Yes, absolutely. So we started actually with guided growth in the security track to be able to guide our partners to what the best security solutions are and what does that look like. And Academy is a part of that guided growth. We have other resources that are available too, but now with all of this agentic revolution and the AI that's coming and so many changes in technology, literally this year we built out the AI guided growth. And there's so many resources available for our partners when they log into our on-demand system. So as a Pax8 partner, they automatically have access. They're able to go into there and they're able to see what does this guided growth journey look like? How can I move from here to here? I don't even know where to start. And so there's a hub available where they can go in and they can click on these resources and even define the job types that are within their company. Perhaps the service desk manager needs specific resources or the project manager needs specific resources. And we try to provide all of that to make sure that those partners, for every single person working in their organization, they have the resources that they need to be able to make that jump to the next level of technology that we know is coming.
So I understand that first you start with some kind of an assessment, right? So first you kind of get to know what are your gaps, and then the system will actually recommend a bunch of trainings, resources that you can use to take yourself to the next level in whatever your goal is.
Yes, that's exactly right. We have multiple assessments that are available that are within Academy and also within Guided Growth. For example, in Academy, we have one that we've been promoting to the partners here. It's completely free of charge. It gets an email report directly to the partner, so there's nothing to buy with it. But essentially, they answer 34 questions over 5 pillars of their business, and then it spits out a report to them to basically say, these are the areas that we recommend you focus on. These are your strengths, and these are other areas of opportunity. And then when we go into Guided Growth, there's other assessments that they can take as well that will help them identify and pinpoint exactly where they need to go so that there's no more guessing. We love as leaders to be able to make decisions that are based on data, based on facts, and not just our feelings. And so when they answer these questions, that assessment is able to help them identify exactly where they should begin.
So the way it works, you take an assessment, you get like a list of things that you should be focused on, okay, and then you take some of those trainings, you improve your knowledge, and then you take another assessments, and you can go into the continuous growth mode.
Yes, exactly that. It is a continuous growth, and I love the way that you phrase that because it's so important that we don't stand still. We're continuing to evolve as an industry, yes, and as MSPs, and as we talk about this common phrase now, MIP, it's a constant state of evolution, and it's so important that we don't stand still. So what we try to do in Academy is provide a variety of those resources, to your point, making sure that there's something for everybody and that it's this constant state of growth, that they can continue that journey. It's not once and then done, it's once and then how do I keep on that growth and that learning track?
Having a MIP playbook, having an access to continuous growth opportunity with Pax8 Academy, it's a great resource. But still, for many of the partners, transformation is going to be a very, very, very scary and difficult journey. You kind of are running your business, and at the same time, you have to transform. It could be overwhelming.
Yes, I actually do believe it is. And I can empathize with our partners because I came from the partner side. So previous to coming to Pax8, I actually served as the CEO of an MSP located near Denver, Colorado. And I can tell you firsthand that when you change anything from your PSA to how you're doing your projects to how you're doing your billing, there's always a lot of anxiety that comes about with change. And it's imperative that we as leaders face those challenges. And so one of the sessions that I actually talked about while we're here in Amsterdam is 3 challenges for leaders. How do they overcome some of these things? How do they walk through managing effective change in their organization? Because, as you said, there's a lot of anxiety that's there. There's a lot of concerns. The employees, our team members, they want to know what to expect, and they want to know what's expected of them. And as leaders, we can provide that future vision for them of where we're going.
Have you got any courses on change management, how to actually lead the change?
Yes, we absolutely do. We have lots of resources within there that talk about effective change management and what that looks like. Even some that were they were made brand new for this event. So it's not that we have content that was made 5 or 6 years ago that's just sitting out there. We literally had topics of change management, culture, mental wellness, for example, that were made literally for this event that we're at today.
Mental wellness sounds really, really interesting. I think a lot of people going through the transformation, going through some change in life, uh, forget about the fact that health is extremely important.
Yes, it is. And I have to say, I'm not a technician by heart. I come from the business side of the house. And what's been really concerning to me is to see that in the IT industry, there's really what I would say is a pandemic at this point. There seems to be an overworking, there seems to be high stress loads, there seems to be a high state of burnout. And it's not just my opinion. There was a study that was conducted in the UK, and they found that a whopping 97% of technology leaders were reporting some sort of stress signs, burnout signs, being overwhelmed by their work and just being disconnected. And it impacted their deliverables. It impacted how they were interacting with their team. It impacted their confidence. And so this is really a major concern because across EMEA, we're seeing reported increases of absenteeism with regards to stress at work. We're seeing increased medical costs. We're seeing difficulties for companies to staff their teams appropriately because of so many mental health concerns. And so one of the things that we talk about for these leaders is how they need to put on their oxygen mask first and then encourage their team members to do the same. So what does that mean? In an airplane, every time we take a flight somewhere, the flight attendant will tell us in case of an emergency that oxygen mask will come from the ceiling and we should put it on ourselves first. And there's really 2 reasons for that. When that happens, we cannot pass out. We can still help someone, right? But also, if we don't do that and we do block the aisle, we're now a problem to everybody else. And this is a major concern for small businesses because so many of our partners, they are small businesses. They have small teams. And when the leader is taken out of the business because of mental health concerns or physical health concerns, it's devastating for the companies because they need the leaders present. They need them to be able to guide through these changes. So we try to help these leaders find ways to be healthy and to encourage themselves on that journey.
Have you got any practical recommendations? What people should start doing tomorrow. I understand everybody is super busy. You are super busy. I'm super busy. Everybody out there is super busy. But there must be some practical recommend. I have my own, but I'm curious to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you a very good one that relates to this team here. So the Academy team, you've seen us in the hallways. We're running from one session to the next. We're doing interviews. We're delivering on stage. I told every single one of my team members before we came to today that I wanted them to look into their calendar and I wanted them to block time after Beyond that they can take back for themselves with their families. So don't just wait until we get back and then look and try to figure it out, because we're going to be busy when we get back from this. We have lots of partner requests. So I asked them already 2 weeks ago, make sure you look at your calendar and make sure you find time to calm back down, because we've been focused here on our partners. We've been focused on delivering this great event. And when you go back home, your significant other or your partners or your children, whoever it is that's important to you, they need you and they need that time and attention from you. So that's one way they can do it. Another way that I had to learn in my journey was something called a pulse check. And it's literally almost like we talk about the pulse of our heart to make sure that we're okay. And I had a therapist literally tell me that one thing I can do very practically every day is when I go into the restroom and I wash my hands, it's a private time real quick, and I should just ask myself, what am I feeling and what do I need? On a scale of 1 to 5, what have I done to take care of myself? If it's a 1, if it's a low number, I know I need to do something. If it's a 4, maybe that's a better number and it signifies that I've done something to feed my bucket, to give myself some energy. But we have to start with being honest about that question first. We can't ignore that oxygen mask. We can't ignore taking care of ourselves and then expect that we will have the energy and the motivation to be able to help our team members, because they also need that guidance. So very practically, I would say put time in the calendar and then protect that time. You have to block it. And that's something I think you and I talked about.
Yes, blocking the time or taking the time off after significant event was one of the best practices that I had. After every big event in my previous job, I would take a couple of days to go to the mountains and just go hiking with my wife and just take this time back to myself. You can even see that on LinkedIn. After very busy time at the conference, I would just go and take some time for myself. Uh, and I really like the way you phrase it, because leaders in an organization are role models for their employees. So if you are stressed out and you continuously running from one fire to the other, and you never take time to rest, that's a bad example.
It is. And it really creates, unfortunately, for our team members, a little bit of a hypocrisy feeling. Because on the one hand, as leaders, we'll say, oh, maybe you should take care of yourself, take a long lunch, go ahead and take care of that appointment. But if they see us working 16 or 18 hours a day, some of those team members are going to copy us. Some of those team members are going to try to be a good employee, because if they see the boss is working that hard, they're going to want to work that hard so that they can prove themselves. And we can't do that. As you said, we have to be a good example and we have to set the tone for what we want them to do. And so there's something that I've tried to say, which is, leaders, you should lead loudly and you should leave loudly. So leading is by the good example that you just mentioned, but also when you choose to take time away from that business, make sure you do it loudly. Tell your team members, you know what? I've put in a lot of hours, so I'm going to head off early on Friday. I'm leaving at noon, and I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to go spend time with my family, or I'm going to go rock climbing, or whatever it is that is important to us. You have to tell your team members that you're doing that. And when they see it, they know it's okay for them to do the same, because they see the leader modeling what they should do.
I was very clear, always very clear, that there is a block, and this is another best practice that I recommend, even during very stressful times, to have times blocked in the calendar for the specific private activities. Do the sports, spend time with the family, and treat it as an appointment, as a conference call, as a meeting, whatever, and don't give it up for anything easily.
Yes, I love that. It's exactly that, because we would never just cancel on a prospective client at the last minute and say, oh, I've got something else to do, especially if there's a possible sale. We'll make sure that we're there. We'll make sure that we deliver, and yet we don't treat ourselves the same way. And unfortunately, that causes a lot of issues. And I've learned something. It's, if you don't make time for your wellness now, you might be forced to make time for an illness later. And that's not what we want to do as leaders. We want to make sure that we're being that a good example and protecting that time now.
The transformation is coming. Whether you are a reseller or VAR and you want to move to MSP and then MIP, or MSP to MIP transformation, artificial intelligence is going to further compress the time. Everything will start moving much faster. Take time to learn your next steps, but also take time to take time and block it in your calendar, just to make sure that you survive the transformation and take your company to this new agenting managed intelligence provider world. Michael, thank you so much, and I hope we'll continue those conversations after the Beyond.
I would love to. Thank you very much for having me, and just an encouragement to all the leaders out there to keep on leading, keep on being brave, and showing up for your team, and you can do this.
Thank you.